Hey, welcome back. This week we are going to dive into a 2-5-1 chord progression that is going to change the way you play. And I know I promised 7-3-6-2-5-1-4 explanation, but I realized you need to know this first before you can do that even more in depth. And so don't turn this off just yet. I promise we're going to revolutionize the way you play here in just a couple minutes. And I know that seems far-fetched, but it is not. And in the past, I didn't have the verbiage for how to explain this as well. I didn't understand necessarily the theory behind it. And today I'm going to give you both. I'm going to give you how it should sound. You'll see. And you're also going to learn how to just recreate this for yourself as you play songs, where to put this in the song, or how to find it for yourself even better, right? So I'm going to teach you to fish a little bit today. I'm going to sing it for you just so we kind of get an idea of what these chords sound like with a singer, okay? There's much better singers out there, but you'll be all right. I promise. I will too. So I'm going to do some chord changes in this for you to kind of hear what's happening, and then we're going to go back and tell you how to do it for your own playing. All right, so here we go. So wise men say, there was one, here's another. Only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. All right, so real simple tune. But what I'm doing in there is what's called 2-5-1, and that's how I'm getting passing chords. Really quickly, at the end of almost every song that you play, I would say like 95 to 98% of songs end with a 2-5-1. Sometimes it's a 4-5-1, but without getting too nerdy, 2 is kind of a derivative of 4. All right, so 2-5-1, I guess I did get nerdy, but here's how that sounds in the key of C. In the key of C, we play a D minor is our 2. Okay, so C major, D minor is our 2. The 5 is a G major, and the 1 is a C major. And so you can see how nice that sounds together. This is the end of a song. If I play this to you, my song doesn't quite end. And you want me to hit that C, don't you? I do too. Here we go. All right, so it gives us that resolution that our ears are looking for. Part of what's underneath that is the D to the G to the C. See how nice that sounded? What's happening there is we're playing what's called perfect fourths. These are literally perfect fourths in intervals away from each other. And the way you know you're playing a perfect fourth, if you don't understand the theory of it, you can just do it by sound, and it sounds like Here Comes the Bride. Here comes the bride. Here comes the bride, right? And so that's a 2-5-1. Not just because it sounds like Here Comes the Bride, although that is part of it, but because it's a 2 chord to a 5 chord, some version of a 5 chord to a 1. So we love that sound. Now, how do we use this? Let's get into it. Essentially what we want to do here is I want to get to that A minor and put something interesting in there. Now I can play that E minor. It's in the key signature of C. Works great. But I want to play, now I play E majors or sometimes E augmented. I had to look it up because I'm not always the best at naming my chords, but it's like an E augmented 7 sharp 9. Wow, that's from a friend of mine named Paul who gave me that chord. So basically, what we're going to do here is understand why this chord works. So really quickly, let's pretend like I want to get to that A minor, and I actually do, okay? But let's put ourselves in the key of A. In the key of A, here is our real quick scale. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Let's find the 2-5-1 in this, and it'll make sense in a second. But the 2-5-1 in the key of A, we go to our 2 chord, which is a B minor, and then our 5 chord is an E major to a 1. See how we like that sound? 2, 5, 1. And I apologize on screen. You're seeing some interesting, like you're seeing D flat instead of C sharp. That's because my keyboard is set to C on screen, but just go with me anyways. So we like that sound, 2, 5, 1 in the key of A. All we're going to do is borrow from the key of A because we want to land on an A sound. Even though it's an A minor chord in our song, we're still going to use, for this example, B minor, E major, and then land on the A minor. All right, so here's how that would sound in practice. So wise wise men say is the old way we'd play it. Here's the new way. Wise men say. Okay, not everything's a winner, right? Now, I knew it would sound like that, but I want you to hear it. So when I play wise, B minor, E major, A minor, all I did was borrow a 2-5-1. Now I got some cool passing chords out of it, but it didn't sound quite right? And so what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to try a B diminished because that's what's in the key of C, all right? So I'm going to play a B like diminished seventh. So I'm going to play essentially a D minor in my right hand and a B in my bass hand. And let's see how that sounds this time. So I'm going to go wise men say. Much better. Actually, a little gospel-y. And I can tell you for a fact that you'll find this chord progression in a lot of gospel songs. So what's happening here is I'm borrowing from the key of A because I want to land on an A sounding chord. It doesn't matter the quality, A minor, A major, A diminished, or A augmented. The quality of the chord doesn't really matter, but it does have to sound right, or you have to be able to sell it when you play it, right? It has to sound correct. And it's especially important for the singer when you're playing with them or if you're the singer. So what you want to do here is find the 2-5-1 of the major chord or minor chord that you're going to. So basically treat that chord you're going to like it's in its original major scale. It might sound a little funny, but it'll make more sense here. And again, in a second, we're going to do it again. Let's pretend like we want to go to that F in Only Fools, okay? So we're going to play Wise Men Say just as it is. So C, E minor, A. But I've got a second before I get to that F. So let's pretend now like we're in the key of F. In the key of F, the scale is F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Real quickly, what's the 2, what's the 5, and what's the 1 in F? All right, so the 2 is, did you guess? G minor. I'm going to play a G minor 7. What's the 5? If you guessed a C or a C7, that's the 5 in the key of F, and then the 1 chord in the key of F is F, okay? So we're going to borrow that G minor, C7 to get to the F, all right? And that is 2, 5, 1, all right? You can play a really simple G minor, C, F. It doesn't matter how you do it, but we're going to borrow that 2-5-1 from F and bring it into our song in C. So here it sounds like this. Wise men say, and I'm going to play G minor, C7, only fools. That sounds like it works to me, right? So let's put both of those together now. So I got wise men say, only fools rush in. Wait, what was that? All right, so what I did there is I just put a D or a D over F sharp because you can change up chords a little bit. I'm just playing the D over a third of itself, all right? To the G. Why would I do that? Can you figure out what I would have done here based on what I've just taught you? If you guessed that I went from a 5 to a 1, so in the key of G, the G being the 1 chord, I just put a D over F sharp, or you could use a D, to get to that G. So we love the ending 2-5-1, but we can also just do 5-1. And so there's limitless things you can do with this. So this is just the start. You also don't need to play passing chords in front of every song you're going to. Otherwise, it will get murky, it will get muddy, and the band around you, if you're playing with a band, will be a little bit annoyed that you're only playing all these other chords and they don't know what you're doing. So here's my challenge to you. Find a song that you're playing, either solo or in your next gig or next worship service or wherever you're playing, and see if you can find where there's a little space and see if you can put a 2-5-1 in, either for yourself and your solo playing, or if you're playing in a band, see if you can find space in a song, and if it makes sense, figure out what the 2-5-1 is. Now, if you run into any issues with this, please hit reply to this newsletter or leave a comment on the video, and I'll be happy to help you. This is how you begin to find your own sounds, your own passing chords that you like. They don't all have to be gospel-y. They don't all have to be jazz or anything like that. We didn't even touch on what's called tritone substitution. We will work on that later, but you're in the process now of finding your own chords. And you saw that one didn't quite jibe, right? That B minor, that's okay. Find the chords that work for you, that you're confident in playing. put them in there, give it a shot. Again, if you have any questions, reach out. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this gets you started on some really cool ways to add chords into your songs and make them sound more like the way you want them to sound. Have a great week. Talk soon. Bye.